Characteristics of the different types of lace. Alençon, a fine needlepoint lace, so called from Alençon, a French city in which its manufacture was first begun. It is the only French lace not made upon a pillow, the work being done entirely by hand with a fine needle upon a parchment pattern in small pieces. The pieces are afterward united by invisible seams. There are usually 12 processes, including the design employed in the production of a piece of this kind of lace, and each of these processes is executed by a special workwoman. But in 1855, at Bayeux in France, a departure was made from the old custom of assigning a special branch of the work to each lace maker, and the fabric was made through all its processes by one worker. The design is engraved upon a copper plate and then printed off upon pieces of green parchment of a specified length. After the pattern is pricked upon the parchment, which is stitched to a piece of coarse linen folded double, the pattern is then formed in outline by guiding 2 flat threads along the edge by the thumb of the left hand, and, in order to fix it, minute stitches are made with another thread and needle through the holes of the parchment. After the outline is finished, it is given to another worker to make the ground, which is chiefly of 2 kinds: bride, consisting of uniting threads which serve to join together the flowers of the lace, and rissue, which is worked backwards and forwards from the footing of the picot. There was also another ground called argentella, consisting of buttonhole stitched skeleton hexagons. In making the flowers of Alençon point, the workwoman, using a needle and fine thread, makes the buttonhole stitch from left to right, and, when she has reached the end of the flower, throws back the thread from the point of departure and works again from left to right along the thread. As a result, the work is characterized by a closeness, firmness, and evenness not equaled in any other point lace. When the work is completed, the thread which binds lace, linen, and parchment together are carefully cut, and the difficult task of uniting the pieces together remains to be done. This is accomplished by means of what is called the assemblage stitch, instead of the point de racroc, where the points are united by a fresh row of stitches. Another way of uniting the pieces, which is used at Alençon, is by a seam which follows as far as possible the outlines of the pattern so as to be invisible. A steel instrument, called a picot, is then passed into each flower so as to give it a more finished appearance. Alençon point is of a durability which no other lace can rival. A peculiarity in its manufacture is that it is the only lace in which horsehair is inserted along the edge to give increased strength to the cord net, a practice originating in the necessity of making the point stand up when the tall head dresses formerly worn by women were exposed to the wind. Formerly, Alençon point, notwithstanding its beauty of construction, could not vie with Brussels lace as regards the excellence of floral design, but this inferiority has now been removed by the production of exquisite copies of natural flowers mingled with grasses and ferns. Alençon point is now made not only at the seat of its original manufacture, but at Bayeux, at Burano, near Venice, and at Brussels. Bayeux can boast one of the finest examples of this lace ever made. It was exhibited in 1867 and consisted of a dress of 2 flounces in which the pattern, flowers, and foliage were most harmoniously wrought and relieved by shaded tints which give to the lace the relief of a picture. The price of the dress was $17,000 and took 40 women 7 years to finish it. The city of Alençon had on exhibit at Paris in 1899 a piece of lace of exquisite description that had taken 16,500 working days to complete. All over, lace of any kind which is 18 inches or more in width and used for yokes, flounces, and entire costumes. Antique, a pillow lace handmade from heavy linen thread and characterized by an exceedingly open coarse square mesh. It is mainly used for curtains, bed sets, and draperies. Antwerp, a pillow lace made at Antwerp resembling an early Alençon, and whose chief characteristic is the representation of a pot or vase of flowers in which it is always decorated. The pot or vase varies much in size and details. It is usually grounded with a coarse pond champ. Application: a lace made by sewing flowers or sprigs which may be either needlepoint or bobbin made upon a bobbin lace ground. One variety of Brussels lace affords the best example of application. Appliqué, the same as application lace. Argenton, a needlepoint lace usually considered indistinguishable from Alençon, but which is different in some respects. Its marked peculiarity being that the réseau ground is not made of single threads only, but the sides of each mesh are worked over with buttonhole stitch. Argenton is often distinguished from Alençon lace by a larger and more striking pattern, and in some instances it is especially known by its hexagonally arranged brides. It is called after Argenton, a town near Alençon, and the lace was made there under the same direction. Arras, a white pillow lace, so called from Arras in France, the city of its original manufacture. It is simple and almost uniform in design and very strong and firm to the touch, and comparatively cheap in price. It is made on a lisle ground. The older and finer patterns of Arras lace reached their climax of excellence during the First Empire between 1804 and 1812, but since then they have gone out of fashion. And now we have some examples of real Duchess and real Irish crochet lace. Aurillac, a pillow or bobbin lace made at Aurillac in France. In the early period of its manufacture, it was a close woven fabric resembling the guipure of Genoa and Flanders, but later it resembled English point. The lace of Aurillac ended with the Revolution. Auvergne, a pillow lace made at the French city of Auvergne and the surrounding district. Ave Maria, a narrow lace used for edging. See Dieppe lace. Baby, a narrow lace used for edging and made principally in the English counties of Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire, and Northamptonshire. These laces are ordinarily of simple design and specially employed in adorning infants' caps. Though this fashion went out in Great Britain, the ladies of America held to the trimmed infants' caps until the breaking out of the Civil War, and up to that date, large quantities of this lace were exported to America. Basket, a lace so woven and plaited as to resemble basket work. It is mentioned in inventories of 1580. Bayeux. There are two descriptions of lace known by this name. A modern pillow lace made at Bayeux in Normandy, particularly the variety made in imitation of rose point. B. A black silk lace, popular because it is made in unusually large pieces as for shawls, ficus, etc. Bisette, a narrow coarse thread pillow lace of 3 quantities, formerly made in the suburbs of Paris by the peasant women, principally for their own use. The name is now used to signify narrow bordering lace of small value. Bobbin, lace made on a pillow, stuffed as to form a cushion without the use of a needle. A stiff point of parchment is fixed upon the pillow, and after holes are pricked through the parchment so as to form the pattern, small pins are stuck through these holes in the pillow. The threads in which the lace is formed are wound upon bobbins, small round pieces of wood about the size of a pencil, having round their upper ends a deep groove, so formed as to reduce the bobbin to a thin neck on which the thread is wound, a separate bobbin being used for each thread. The ground of the lace is formed by the twisting and crossing of these threads. The pattern or figure, technically a gimp, is made by interweaving a thread much thicker than that forming the groundwork, according to the design pricked out on the parchment. This manner of using the pillow in lace making has remained practically the same during more than 3 centuries. And we have images of real Irish appliqué and imitation point de Venise. And with where my camera is at right now, we're going to hold off and do a part 3. I think it'll be better to do these in short sections now. See you in the next video.